Mr. Polyman. Fucking with me and be far-fetched. Arch agent, here we go, nigga. I live my whole life like a Star Trek light bar. Alright, the shadow government is y'all know. I want the comic, baby. I live my whole life like a Star Wars flight bar. Cholo, let's rock and roll like it's Metallica. We gon' flip this shit like it's a spatula. And a speech that look just like Canada's flight bars. Don't give a fuck about you niggas, man. The pilot man, he be in a plane. Shit reminded me of Independence Day flight bars. Yeah. You got to hop on the real flight. The guardians of the galaxy and starship tripping stole my real life flight bars. I'm in the sky going bye-bye. I disconnected like it's Wi-Fi. I live my whole life like a sci-fi flight bars. My back is the wall, there is no acting involved. I seen a real forest from a real source, and I still got a package from God. What's in my headspace and my crown chakra, man, you know I ain't capping at all. Bitch, I'm in dream time, that's supreme God, and you know I'm a dragon with balls. That'll be all flex. Yeah, fucking with me if you fall fast. Arch agent, here we go, nigga. I live my whole life like a Star Trek flight bars. Alright, the shadow government is y'all lord. Star Wars are coming, baby. I live my whole life like a Star Wars flight ball.
Best rapper alive.
Yeah, what's happening with it? Don't make me come and cause a cataclysm. Archangel Uriel came down to earth, some motherfucking astrophysics. You ain't shit without no magic, bitches. For you, I don't even have a minute. You got sucked in a black hole. When you got there, nothing black was in it. Yeah. Why y'all ain't using y'all gold? Yeah. Yeah. Mario High, be on a superstar road. To the lost souls, be for your heart stop. Quit trying to be something that y'all not. The God MC from heaven, man. I live my whole life like a Star Fox flight boss. You fucking with me if you fall fast. Arch agent, here we go, nigga. I live my whole life like a Star Trek flight boss. Alright, the shadow government is y'all lord. Star Wars are coming, baby. I live my whole life like a Star Wars flight boss. Yeah.
Michael Jackson, Elvis, Prince, Belle Biv DeVoe, Tony, said Bruce Springsteen could never do that. And all of that. Get your T-Steam game up. Get your T-Steam game up. How's your T-Steam game up? How y'all feel about a native and an African being president? That sound perfect. That sound perfect. You know what that? Other than that, we'll have this land gone. But we're gonna talk about it being in the sky before it float down here. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody losing their mind in the sky in reality. Flight might be the new concert. You know what I'm saying? Getting the airplane ticket might be the new concert and stuff like that. You get to see your favorite rappers for free. It's all you gotta do is pay for the plane ticket. You see your favorite rapper, favorite wrestling match, favorite boxing match. Y'all saw all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Hey, airplane services getting just as much money as hotels and Airbnbs. I like it. Oh, no. Get your T-Steam game up. Get your T-Steam game up. A lot of degeneracy. A lot of capitalized. I like it. I like that. Bring the flight back. Now look, check this out. And we in that energy already. It's so happy because Sagittarius represent the plane. You know what I'm saying? Sagittarius represent the flight, taking flight and things of that nature. And when we get into the pockets, the moon is in that pocket where the sun usually be at. So for the most part, that would be like, 60 days back, you know what I'm saying? 65 days back, or whatever the case may be when the sun was in Sagittarius. So that's how we're making this alignment. When you look in the sky, you're like, how we can tell the moon is in the same pocket when the sun was there? Based upon alignment. We can look at the sun, we can make an angle, so we make that alignment, view in the mathematic calculus and stuff like that. Boom. And it'd be like, oh, that's the position the sun was in when we was experiencing that particular season or that time or that month. So when the moon is there, it's the faster moving pace, or we're moving. So for the most part, our moods is moving faster. So we're looking at things that move faster, just like your body can move faster than the sun as the first lens, as the first glasses. So when I say the world we are in represent the moon, that would be like the first lens, the first glasses. Now, how it appear outside of that is going to be how we get it done, aka the sun, the beaming. So the sun is in Aquarius. So it's dealing with a 60-degree angle, which is a sextile. So there you go. Sorry, y'all. Pardon me. It was coming, but it didn't come the time I needed to go. Get your T-Steam game up. This released the best toxins in the world. I'm saying? Not the one you put in the refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? But it represents a sextile, a 60-degree angle. So for the most part, that represents opportunity. Now, the opportunity is always modified. So if you understand what's going on with the seasons and the animals and your own nature, when the sun was in that pocket, you'll know what mood you in, even if it don't look like that and you feel like you got to go back to your natural moon alignment. AKA, since you don't know that's what's going on, but you're going to do it anyway, how you feel, and it's naturally your moon sign and your sun or whatever the case may be, and might miss certain points, might appear to be stubborn in certain areas, might appear to be unaware in certain areas, and might appear to be looking like a fool in certain areas. So that's why it's important to understand these things, and when we break it down in astrology, that's just in certain areas getting into detail. It varies, this understanding the sun and the moon and nature and anatomy, though. You need to understand that. It ain't just about astrology, but this is a good way to have a pinpoint and have some understanding behind it so you could actually know what you're looking at all the way to the elements, Sagittarius, Leo, Scorpio, or those times of the year. I mean, Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries, and those times of the year represents fire. Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, and those times of the year represents water. And then I could break down why we even come to those conclusions in the first place. So I want people to be like, oh, people just made this up and we're piggybacking off that knowledge. No, you need to go learn these things for yourself to understand, oh, okay, the beginning of the year, spring, oh, it gets hot, oh, okay, fire. Then once it gets condensed, anytime something is rooted or whatever like that, that's a element or essence of earth. Even if it's hot at that time, something's still getting fixated, and we anchored in the middle of a season before the 90 days, because 90 degrees, 90 days, a whole season has passed. So the first 30 days, the spark, the fire. Next 30 days, it's anchor in the middle. We represent that as earth. Next one, it kind of fluid, it's mutable, it could be changed up. It represents that as air, because things get ready to change up as the season also. And then once we get the holy water, aka light condensing and becoming a cloud, that's the sun coming closer before it creates the cloud, and we get hotter times, aka summertime. So we represent that as the holy water, because it's condensing a lot, and you go to the beach or whatever the case may be. Boom, then they get fixated in summertime, aka that's the Leo time. Then the next 30 days is get ready to shift and change, but it's get ready to cool off, and that shift and change of that water, aka the holy water light, is get ready to cool off a little bit and get more condensed. That's the essence of the mutable version of earth. We're changing into that, Virgo. Then it shift into that being exchangeable, aka when it gets into Cardinal Libra, and then we get to balance out the year, just like on a micro scale. 6 p.m. we get to balance out the day, evening, and so on and so forth. Before I even get into that, because I just want to break down these energies and get into specific zodiac signs and stuff like that for people who are into astrology and like to hear about themselves. But at the same time, I like to break stuff down so we can make sense, and it just don't seem like I'm just pulling things out of the wind, even though we dancing in the wind when we spiritually flying in our spaceships. That esoteric water. You know what I'm saying? Get your tea-steam game up. Tea-steam game up. You know what I'm saying? So, for the most part, as the sun being in Aquarius, this puts us into an energy of fixed air, aka that's how it's going to appear to be. But what's appearing to be, aka the moon being in Sagittarius? And as we're reacting and responding to the moon being in Sagittarius, that's mutable fire. Being mutable and being able to adapt to your own or other people's ways of seeing and feeling about things. It's going to look like either stubborn, consistent, or someone unique, revolutionary, or separate, or kind of like being negative in their way of communicating in their fixed energies when it comes to communicating. That's air, Aquarius, being fixated on your own way of thinking and communicating. So a person may take multiple ways of seeing and feeling, even when it comes to themselves, and construct, which is Sagittarius, and construct how it looks in a way that look like Aquarius, a fixated way of thinking and communicating about it. So for the most part, things could be up for judgment when it comes to expressing your religion, your points of views of things, ultimately how you see and feel. Now, if you're around negative people, it might be a devil's advocate, or a person being sarcastic, or a person being negative where it ain't no reason to be negative, but it's their way to fulfill something that they may have went through previously and they felt belittled. So they found something within their situation with you that they could belittle you and get that energy. So it wasn't really for you, but it was used on you for that person to fulfill something, like they got some get back that wasn't even towards the person that proved them wrong about something or made them look like they was retarded. So for the most part, be wary about giving your personal opinion if you're not in the mutable Sagittarius energy, even if you ain't a Sagittarius, aka making it mutable, making it a way where you could separate how you see and feel about something and add on other people's ways of seeing and feeling about it, then come up with a decision to express it. That's the true mutable energy with fire. But if you don't do that, you could be just expressing, I meant to say expressing, especially if you a Sagittarius, you're already going to feel that energy and that favor to express, and you're going to think you got the right way of seeing and feeling about things. But for the most part, here's the thing. If you're just in that energy and you don't separate from looking at how other people see and feel about things, then you could just be expressive, not counting how other people see and feel about it, while they're sitting there observing how you expressing yourself, coming up with this Aquarius way of how it looks. AKA, they may think you're stubborn how you're coming across, or if you have been consistent, they might not want to give you the satisfaction because the way you're coming across, what you just got validated on to appear to be consistent, look like you're using it as an ego now. Look like you're using it to try to prove somebody wrong. Look like you're using it in an area where it's not to be used at, and a person starting to see, oh, you're getting boosted up by this, or you're getting fulfilled by this. So even if you're the Sagittarius or Aries or Leo, or just another sign, you might lack the ability to fully do that to the highest potential because that ain't your element, but you still might do that and still experience negative results. You know what I'm saying? And maybe on a higher percentage scale because it ain't your element. Where the Aries and Leo and the Sagittarius may get grace, where a person might be like, oh, this person is feeling themselves. You may participate in the same energy and completely destroy whatever you was trying to ground as far as that relationship or that business or however the case may be. So be aware of these things right now. Also, things could be open if you're on the positive side of energy for new relationships or relationships that you're doing currently to be better or whatever the case may be, because it's a favorable energy. Sextile, these things is agreeable, Aquarius and Sagittarius. So multiple ways of seeing and feeling about things amongst yourself and others is able to be rooted and anchored into one area, a single goal, a single route that it could be transmuted from being stubborn and be revolutionary or changed up and be something new that y'all can participate on. That's the same thing. So for the most part, that's that fixated energy, but also being put in an energy where people could be on the same path. So any misunderstandings could be open to be rectified right now, open for discussions, and it not being so hostile right now, especially when it comes to family, friends, associates, co-workers, especially when y'all start to talk about politics and things of that nature. These things ain't gonna be as hostile as they was yesterday, day before yesterday, last week, and it might be the same type of conversations or whatever the case. But with that Sagittarius, it's gonna make everybody look at it from a more seeing perspective, feeling perspective, but mutable. So it makes the energy not heavy, cardinal, or not fixated or anchored in one area to it's too stubborn. It's like, okay, I'm open to see somebody else's way of seeing and feeling just by default, and naturally that creates better conversations because it's filtered through Aquarius. So even if a person in their fixed stubborn energy, especially y'all Aquarius, it is still not allowed because it'll be seen as you still being too negative. So even if you're coming across disagreements or family, friend, associates that you had disagreements with, it won't even be that harsh during this particular time also. And the situation may even play out where things could be resolved or solutions could be made. But you have to take these, because it's only going to be what 2 days left, 2.5 days, or whatever the case may be. So you got to take that energy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people be stubborn in all kind of situations in their life and still built that concept of being a moon behind, 2 moons behind. Now you got to use the moon that is currently at for energies you have manifested from moons previously, and the sun be still in a situation. So you got to take the same actions. And that's like anytime you're doing the same thing and repeat, that builds to a frustration. So for the most part, that's how it starts before it becomes physically. It start off mentally. You got to deal with a mental frustration based upon whatever relationship you develop with the person, based upon the animosity or whatever you put your foot in your mouth and took the responsibility that now you're starting to switch up because you're not understanding the moon switch. So your mood switch, and it might be a moon that switched more in your favor, 60-degree alignment, a sextile or something like that. So you start to see opportunities that you can't even take to the full potential because you put your foot in your mouth yesterday. You put your foot in your mouth last week. Put your foot in your mouth 2 moons ago, last moon. So that person's still there, and you got to take the same actions, but your mood and the moon is in a different position and opening up different opportunities. You got to bring this person with you that could possibly destroy it or however the case may be. It's so often that artists, comedians, actors, actresses got to leave a family member at the crib. Got to leave a friend at the crib that they grew up with, or whatever the case may be, for these very same reasons. You see what I'm saying? You might have gave a promise that was cool last week. A door opened up next week where the moon at and things of that nature. It don't that the what you open your door up to or put your foot in your mouth for got a piece of what you have allowed them to attach to. Now with this new opportunity that's a part of that looked like it'd be better if you just go by yourself. Now you got to come up with a live story that's going to start that internal tit for tat development where it's going to start playing out in areas that ain't got nothing to do with that. And now y'all gonna start creating other weird problems and stuff. So it gets weird when it comes to how we deal with our relationships. You gotta always be spiritually strong and stop something before it reach a situation where you started something you can't finish, or something went down too far and you ain't see all the paths before you start to realize what train, aka esoteric train, you on might not be the direction when you start to see other openings or other tourist stops that you can get out in that esoteric realm and travel and get more esoteric gold, bend it into the third dimension, and then play out as more creativity, more ways to react and respond to other individuals, play out situations much more lighter. You the individual that everybody need for things to be substantiated. And that's what we want to do anyway. But we don't be having time to do that based upon our day-to-day life, being involved with too many flunked out people. So it takes that time that we can have that and counterpartmentalize who the right people to give this amount of time to or not or whatever. We don't be practicing that type of quality when we by ourselves either. Nor do 90% of people on American soil right now have that time to themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because one pocket lead from another pocket. Then when you do find somebody you resonate with, you still don't have that pocket to yourself. So it's like one pocket leaving from another pocket, and you have to counterpartmentalize which one is better. And really, all of them take you away from having that space sometimes to develop that true goal. And a lot of times, it's what people be missing and develop frustration with themselves. But it really lash out on their loved ones, lash out on their friends, lash out on their business colleagues and stuff like that. Then they have to come back a week later and be like, I apologize, I wasn't myself, or however the case. Nah, it really was your spirit needed that spiritual space. It ain't know how to do it, nor did you know that was going on for you to take that challenge. So it came out in that way, exploding at the wrong time or whatever. Once your spiritual back is against the wall, that's what I like to call it. Too many energies that's pent up in your spirit start to feel compressed. So it built into 1, 2, and 3rd dimension as you begin in that starting scene of being depressed. And once you're on that starting seed, for the most part, it's hard to get out of that because you don't know spiritually, you have already got yourself into a compression. Your collection of thoughts and feelings, and you accepted too many others, people's thoughts and feelings, and took it as your own, and now it became your responsibility. And these people that created it, that you added to your own, may not ever see you in that light, might not even think you had to do that much. And you put a bunch of pressure on yourself coming up with your own imagination about it. Then for the most part, that's spiritual compression. Your spirit trapped in too many mind states and stuff. You got to square out that circle after a while. You got to get out of some of those layers and make like lights more clear, so you know what light, what desire, what image, what vision, what feeling that is. When they all cloggy together, it's just going to be all the colors on a piece of paper that you smear together, and it's dark, black, aka all your collection of images of thoughts and feelings. That's what they are, and they all came together. This thought had to use for this one. This solar plexus had to be used for this idea. This root had to be used, and then for the most part, now you can't get out of your own darkness, and now you either to save yourself, go find God, or someone else have to give you a way up out of that or whatever. But truly, it'd just be you practicing getting out of your own hole, getting out of your own abyss, getting out of your old clogginess. AKA, as a spirit, it's kind of like organ implosion. You're creating mentalities, thoughts, and feelings, stimuli that bend in and become, or attention spans that bend in and become stimuli, your organs. But when you do that too much in those particular areas that bend in and become fleshly fluids with the organ you already made, this is how you get hormonal imbalances before it start to play out like it and things of that nature. It's organ implosion, overthinking what you just did. We're supposed to create the spirit, create the mind, create the body, and then create other kind of concepts with that tool we just created, so we could go in and make another glorified body. Get out of this body, it go into the dirt. Get out of this mind, it go into the sky dirt, and then go expand out of that, and because we are a bigger spirit, and create another form or another gadget that we can bring in this washing machine cycle and expand whatever root ratio already is, for lack of better words, because I know that's pseudo Madame Blisky. You know what I'm saying? But just a spirit pocket, or however the case. But when you, as a spirit, individual spirit, a soul, create a mind and create a body, now you're born, you're here in this washing machine cycle, but then you do the same thing, create a mind to suit the organs, the flesh that you just did. So you're not doing something new, you're doing something to sustain. Here's organ implosion. And then you need more external things that we're all doing that you lack and you just continue to do in order to support your sustainability. So you have a sustaining mind and a sustaining body. Once the body start to become ill, because you keep making too much blood that go to that same organ that's not doing new things, new creative dance moves, you're being stiff and try to figure out external ways to make that stiff look like it's good or whatever. I got rims, that's why I'm red pill, that's why you should suck my dick. No, that ain't why, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case. That's why you single now on the red pill, making 1,000 videos online. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, when you're in that energy, and that's organ implosion. So for the most part, once the body expire, hopefully nobody dies or whatever in this state, right? Your mind only know how to remember the things it was doing when it was waking itself up in the body that the mind was condensing and becoming the fleshly fluids. So that's a small form of hell. Now, what you don't know, that's where you get grace. And then that's like God as a mechanism, or you going down that train of thought and line of reasoning of being able to have grace as a spirit, take that spaceship that you inside of, that mind that you inhale, fly into that area. Other spirits did that and figured out how to have a new experience to get out of that, to be born again. And therefore, you're in the mind with other spirits that's born again, that learned that mistake before you, been there, done that before you. And therefore, you are able to be born through them again. And hopefully you ain't no bastard or some rebellious ass child that's getting ready to go into another longer version of grace. And hopefully you don't go down it again and you don't got no grace no more. And you just went into some soul sleep. So that's spiritual mechanism. None of us is escaping that, or whatever the case, because you wouldn't be here now. And thank God that a lot of y'all are human, because y'all wouldn't want to be no alligators or no monkeys or whatever the case may be, right? So, for the most part, as the moon being in Sagittarius, we're reacting and responding to mutable fire. And the position that it's in is where the sun would have been at. And the specific position is 8 degrees in it. So, we're dealing with the exaltation point of the season of fall. So, this is what we call Antares, or this is what we call the sun. And anytime the sun is in that position, that's the sun that created the Western Hemisphere. So, that's God's son, God's child. So God is the overall, all possibilities, or whatever the case may be. So God first children is the thought forms, and when they all come together, aka that the first physical forms or whatever, right, and the spirits that's inside of them, right, then you have the holy ones. But then you have the sun on the Western Hemisphere that make all the creatures and the humans and the natives over here, or whatever the case. So for the most part, that would be the Uriel sun. Now when you get to the eastern continents or whatever, that's the whatever, if they call it Australia, the archangel or the Michael sun or whatever. China or whatever, Raphael or whatever. Then when you get to South Africa and things of that nature, that would be Gabriel, or the dark, or the tobacco, or whatever the case. So that's how we get the blue, that's how we get the white world, the Wabanakia, that's how we get the Skipakia, that's how we get the blue-green world, that's how we get the Muskaki, that's how we get the red world, and that's how we get the dark world, the black world, tobacco, whatever the case may be. So the east, the sun in that pocket, Michael, or Wakanakia, or whatever the case may be, that'll be the white world. Then when you get to the northern, or the not north, but the China world, the yellow world, or whatever the case, or the blue-green world, Skipakia, right? Then when you get to that's that sun, Raphael. Then when you get to what Australia call it, then when you get to the Western Hemisphere, we'll make all the creatures and the humans over here and things of that nature, all the way to South America and Central America also, which would be the root chakra where we spring from and stuff like that. And things, here's where you get the Muskaki, or the red sun, or Uriel, or the emotional side and things of that nature, however you want to call it, or whatever, or the land, or where Uriel's sun, God's sun, the Western sun, makes the most water at things over here, or just how things fluid over here, because it's the emotional side of things or whatever. That's why when you get more to the east, it's more desert light or more light. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, if you don't want to get too far into a religious aspect of looking at it spiritual, or whatever the case may be. And then you get to the south, but it's all a ring, or whatever the case. And that we're talking about a sky Pangea, not an actual, and I hate to use that word too, because people claim that's pseudo, but not the actual landmass itself, but you know, just coming across being the age of explorer time, where you learn about different things of that nature. So for the most part, we're representing the this is why it's so important when we start to talk about the fixed positions that the sun be in, that the sun never be in no other time. So even when the sun ain't there, we're able to calculate that energy and give it praise and give it grace, and then know that that's that cycle or that time where that sun in that position gonna come again. So that's how we say Michael's back, Raphael's back, Uriel's back, Gabriel's back, based upon, you know, getting into the mutable energies of what transition from spring to summer. So that'll be the Gemini time on the Western Hemisphere, which will be Michael, or whatever the case may be. Then you get in from the transition of summer to fall, which will be Raphael time, or whatever. Then you get from fall to winter, which will be my time, Uriel time, or whatever, the Western Hemisphere time. Even day, even night for the whole world, though. And then, or the things condensing. And then, for the most part, you get Gabriel, or the end of winter going into spring, or however the case may be. So we're getting a change, and we're getting that sun that bring the change, and no other sun position brings that change, or however the case. And we reached the graduation point or the exaltation point before it start to spring into the other season based on calculation, or however. So right now 8/9 degrees, or going into 9 degrees once we get into the new shift completely and things of that nature, will be from Gemini, which will be Michael, or y'all calculating Orion, however. Then you got Ophiuchus, or where y'all calculating the galactic center, or Uriel, and things of that nature. When you get into 8 degrees Sagittarius, when you get into 3 degrees Pisces, Gabriel, when you get into 29 to 1 degrees Virgo, you get into Regulus or Raphael. So you got Jabril, or what else they call it? Um, all You got the East Aldebaran fixed star that represent Michael, Regulus represent Raphael, Antares represents Uriel, and Gabriel represents Fomalhaut. So for the most part, those are the fixed positions, but they're just names for that position. Just like when you get into El Elyon, that will be another name for 12 p.m. If you in China, 12 p.m. will be Chi Chang Chi, or Ha Chi, or Chi Ha, or something like that. Something with Chi, though, based upon their language or whatever the case. You know what I'm saying? And if you was in Africa or something like that, it'll probably be ISIS or whatever, or different. Oh yeah, probably ISIS or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So when you bring those things together, or and within this concept, it's just different names for the time. You know what I'm saying? So if you're tracking Horus in Africa on the Western Hemisphere right now, you're just tracking the hours of the day. You know what I'm saying? So in Africa, you'll have the Ankh, and America, you'll have the cross. Because it was your way of tracking the sun. So if you're facing east and you put the cross, if you're in America, New Worldiah, or if you got the Ankh, and because it represents life, well, the life was talking about the sun. In Africa over here, yo, you know what I'm saying, Gucci. But for the I didn't mean to do that. But for the most part, if you're facing the east and you put the cross up, or really a star, but put the cross up, or if you're in Africa, put the Ankh up, whatever like that, and you're facing the east, it should be able to tell you, because based upon the sun doing that on the horizon, based upon wherever you're focusing on the census, it should tell you if it's at the top of the point, it's 12 p.m. If it's getting ready to drift, it's the noon time. Once it get to p.m. evening, it should be on the complete right side if you're facing the east, pointing at the sun with the cross, or if you're in Africa with the Ankh or whatever. And if it's 6 a.m. in the morning, it should be completely on the left stick. You know what I'm saying? Once the morning star rise from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, the star rising from from them 2 hours in that 12th house. Once it reaches the first house, aka in the morning, for that 2 hours, that's 6 a.m. in the morning, and then based upon it vary throughout the day and the transition throughout the year. But for the most part, that's how we get the houses. It should be on the left side of the cross or the left side of the Ankh if you're in Africa, and you should be able to keep. That was the one of the ways to tell the clock and the medicine wheel back in the old world, and then the new world over here. That was the new world to the people coming from the east. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we start to calculate it with the brain. And if you look here towards that's 11:50, you know what I'm saying, before it reached 12 p.m. So you could pull out a thought and idea that you may have forgot, but it could be pertaining to the situation, or it could be germane for the situation, or however the case may be, or the conversation. So that's why you have no choice but to look in that area in your mind also. So this is how a lot of times psychologists or people who be reading body language could tell somebody lying, or someone serious, or someone grifting, or someone know what they're talking about, or someone is a fool, but they actually believe what they're actually talking about beyond needing a lie test. You know what I'm saying? So these are a lot of circumstances that y'all need to understand if you're a human, if you're getting ready to become an Atmos DAP, because you're getting ready to expand some broader knowledges. These things should be little preschool type things, which in y'all need to learn these things in college, which is God looking at y'all kind of slow. You know what I'm saying? Kind of slow a little bit, pick up your mental pace and your comprehension. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, these are things you deal with every day, and you challenge yourself to get better in. You just ain't know it was exactly that and exactly those words in the encyclopedia. But now you know. Get better, whether you're from the hood or whether you're from everywhere, especially if you're from the hood. We got so many stereotypes. The hood is the new reservations, and all the people on the reservation. Shout y'all out. But for the most part, and the hood is a melting pot. version of a reservation. So for the most part, you're misunderstood based upon the energies that have been in history that come from there and people trying to get their 1-2 together, but all the degenerate ways that we may have access to do it. So you may think or be perceived in those broader areas as a person who lack intelligence, where there's certain intelligence that you have developed, you just don't know how to put it in a certain area for it to be shown, for it to be expressed, for it to be something that's okay, this should be respected and not just from where I'm from and what I'm doing it for. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times we just have to develop ourselves so we could be good representations and show that we ain't just crash outs like everybody doing on the planes right now. What's going on with y'all, right? But yeah, as the moon being in Sagittarius, we're all just and it's in that fixated energy, right? This is the peak of fall. So it's representing what fall is when it comes into the moon. So there's going to be some extreme transition or extreme fall or separation, because think about it, right? When the sun or the moon is in a position of the sky dealing with times very separate, very distant, very a whole 180 degrees, a whole 150, 80, 90 degrees away from the beginning of the year, which is spring. So that builds your mind up. Also, like the beginning stages of day and night, or whatever the case. And not a Kid Cudi song here from Ohio. You see what I'm saying? So you're building distant natures playing out in different kind of qualities, or however the case may be. So when it comes into the emotional state, the moon, the tides, you're going to feel a little distant, even when the moon is in that position, that when the sun is there, that create that distance from us being closer to the sun, for us to experience spring and summer. So it's a psyche that's going on that you're just not able to see in multiple ways. So for the most part, when it comes into the moon being in Sagittarius, our emotions also is going to feel a distant, and it's at that peak point and Terry's. So that means we're going to experience the peak of what fall means. So when it comes to what you've been emotionally holding on to, especially if you develop some type of ego in your own internal summer, you know, those things you was getting validation for when it comes to your creativity and you was developing as your goal to express and be creative and stuff like that. Let's say you tied one of these things to an ego that you don't know how to create something new, and then your spirit to be stuck in it and fall with it when it started to deteriorate, then you have to go extreme for it, aka become a narc. Right now, when it's that distant, you may be separate from that energy at that quality or something like that. So something you was trying to uphold or appear to be is going to get shot down by the Cupid, or it's going to get sucked in the hole of the galactic center, because your emotions is connected to it, and the moon is connected to all of our emotions. But what you choose to do with your emotions, you may have got something that you could created from your internal summertime. Even when we're all experiencing winter, you was lit based upon what you're getting attention for. Over exaggerated, so you added too much sauce to it, too much of summertime to it, whatever the case may be. And here's the thing, we can't uphold everything, especially going through our own seasons and our seasons as a whole. And as a whole, we're going through the sun and the moon being in distant, and you're holding on to something with your own self that you created in your own summer. You might not be able to weather that storm as you're going through a sun and moon in winter along with all of us. So that little thing that's your warm man, aka that could be a validation, that could be an ego, that could be something you got one up on another individual, that could be something you appear to be intelligent to someone, but you went too far using it for those things, using your nepotism, your mental access, your gang ties, however, your money for the thing, right? That's gonna get shot down. So whatever you was trying to look to be is going to get taken away from you, and you're going to have to be what you actually was. You can't wear the coat you made in the summertime or whatever the case may be, like it's going to be thick enough as we're experiencing as a whole a wintertime. Sun being in Aquarius and the moon being in Sagittarius. So you don't even have an emotion coat that can keep you warm, because it ain't, the moon ain't near spring or summer. You get what I'm saying? It's like that. You have to look at it like that. So a lot of times, let's say you're a person who got your 1-2, so you can't wait to stun on individuals, and the stars may have aligned, aka what, no negative alignment or this type of alignment where it's very distant. So you probably had your way, and you probably had other people to validate it and stuff like that. So you probably got in that comfort zone, and that's the worst place to be when you're not spiritually inclined, because you reach days like this, and then the thing you was upholding, it's almost like a bully getting shown they ain't a bully. So the bully go to their friends that don't have that period class, that don't have that class at that period. So you got friends that ain't in fourth period with you, so they don't know what's going on, but they might see what you're able to get away with in seventh period, right? And it's a situation right now where you've been making them think you was doing or bullying people like you do in seventh period when you in a class. You've been convincing them you've been doing that in the fourth period, and you've been bringing up a person that they know in other periods that they may not know would go on in the fourth period. That person might not let you get away with it. But here's the thing. They're taking what you've been expressing on the seventh period platform. And seventh period is one period away from eight period. So, you know, a lot of times there's a little more leeway. People can enjoy themselves. Teacher might allow you to draw, whatever the case may be. So you've been telling good stories or whatever the case. Soon as and I'm just making this an example, y'all. Just go. You can take this in business, entertainment, education, religion, and politics. Soon as the energy go into something like this, aka Sun in Aquarius, Moon in Sagittarius, it's a distant. So you're going to be separate from the energy that you was just upholding, convincing people. And it just so happened you got a friend or whatever. It might have been a substitute teacher or something may have happened, a fire drill, something like that, where some of your friends end up being in the fourth period with you. And they see that you can't bully this person or whatever the case may be. Now you can't uphold that no more. You like trying to figure out how does this happen today? Like, how did that? You thought that was going to never happen. Stars aligned. See what I'm saying? So whatever you was attached to that was making you warm in those previous times, even if you ain't go nowhere and you in the same physical location. In the esoteric world, we still traveling. Time. And we in a time of the moon being in Sagittarius, sun being in Aquarius. So for the most part, you're going to be at a certain situation where boom, it just lead up for that to get exposed or get expressed or whatever. And for the most part, now you got to learn from that. Now you got to expand out of that. Now you got to know not to hold on to so much things because you experiencing the high peak or the exaltation of the fall itself. So whatever, it's a spiritual thing. So whatever you're floating in on your esoteric high and convincing yourself, even when people ain't around, the times is changing, people moves is changing, and you trying to put that same esoteric currency in, put that same joke in, like you're going to get the same laughter, same response, same change back. And therefore something change, not you bringing something, getting the change, whatever you trying to get your change back or whatever the case may be. So that's how the world interact. And therefore you're going to learn your lesson. You're going to learn, okay, this light is good for this time, but let me not overuse it because it's going to be, if I'm around a powerful spirit or a wise spirit like Uriel, I'm going to be seen as a person that's just using this because it helped me feel fulfilled in other areas I lack at. And I don't need no other spirits knowing I lack in another area. And I just use this area and start to go overboard because I did lack in another area. And I ain't know people thought like that. You know what I'm saying? But it will be no other reason for me to overdo something or overcompensate something if I didn't lack something previously or everything could just be balanced. You see what I'm saying? I wouldn't have to prove what I got now. So a lot of times that's what people be in the energy of too. They don't be realizing. But when you're around wise spirits, they can see that. They may not know how to explain it. And then their way of interacting with you may be slightly tit for tat. So sometimes beyond amongst friends and family, that build unnecessary animosity where it doesn't have to be. So it's important for the wise adult spirit to also, when you on your alone time because you smart or you got those people around you so you're not around more degenerate of other people, to try to develop ways to explain. And therefore, you know that that's the natural cause or natural teaching way and learning lessons of resolving situations for them not to lead to other grave situations that may be negative. So we know even if you wise and you can see something, it's your duty and obligation to come up with a way to explain it also. Not just, oh, I'm wise and oh, my family dumb, so I ain't got to, oh, I'm wise, my friend dumb. So for the most part, what you're gonna do is create some type of situation where there's some esoteric separation going on, and it's gonna be a time that you start to realize from that distance, another way of seeing it, you was connected and you needed them for other purposes other than you start to make it. And you start to make it more of the intelligence way of why you need them or not. And then once that separation, you're going to start to realize you're separating yourself from people and stuff like that, aka being too smart for your own good. So sometimes y'all got to be careful of that too. But this a time you got to be aware. You know what I'm saying? You could be seen as a person expressing yourself and a person is sitting there calculating. And if you're on a negative side of energy, the world we in, right, is Sun in Aquarius, Moon in Sagittarius. So you might be expressing something that you got away with, and then now you're not going to be able to get away with. And it's like Sagittarius teaching you your lesson. It's like, okay, you learned your lesson. And now you're able to expand or expound on that experience because that's what Jupiter represents, expanding and expounding. So it's adding meaning and reasonings and extracting the wisdom and knowledge from a circumstance or a situation. That's an experience. And your spirit has no choice but to expand or expound if you're still trapped inside of that mental form and that experience or whatever. So our spirits expand and contract. When we create a mind state, we created the concept of expansion. When we was inside of it simultaneously, we created the concept of contraction. So by default, when the spirit expand and contract after it already did that, anything is inside of versus the mind, it has a pulse. Then the mind condenses and become the organs. The organ has a pulse. So when you go through an experience, you're on that first train of thought, just in more duplicated concepts where you expanding and contracting. And the more experiences you go through, you expand out of that previous form and contract fully in that new form. And the previous form, if it became a fleshly fluid, this is how you experience death, but also how you experience a mind state that you got rid out of, and being able to go into another form and things of that nature. But it start off with experiences and your spirit expanding and contracting, and anything is inside of is a pulse, the mind and the body. And once you go through a lot, you are more of an adult spirit. If you don't go through a lot of experiences, then you are a small spirit, stuck in a small mind that didn't travel, and the organs that you created like everybody else that isn't sufficient for a lot of artillery. So you may lack intelligence, you may lack handiwork, you may lack capabilities, you may lack certain intellect, comprehension, and stuff like that. You always have to be put on in every aspect of life in some way. Like you bring nothing to the table in no aspect. And it doesn't take long for you to start being frustrated with yourself when you get to those areas. Like you be like, I got to be a part of something. Like I even when someone helping you, after they helping you for too long, after a while, you start feeling like that. You start feeling like, man, I got to bring something to the table. Unless you just some devious, greedy, lost degenerate that you didn't found a way to justify how that fulfill everything that you ain't realized you're doing something to fulfill what you lack in your life. And so because you didn't got so much invested into what you lack and victimhood, and now you're trying to dump that on other people. Oh, I ain't have this, so I think this person shouldn't have that. Oh, I went through this, so I think this person should go through the same thing. And when you don't see that happening, you think you need to be that demon. You think you need to go ahead and be the person that caused that in that person's life. And that's when you just some walking degenerate that I don't think your family should accept you. I don't think your friend. I don't think no job manager should hire you. And I don't know why the colonists stopped investing into mental institutions with straitjackets. Like, I don't know why Trump ain't started investing into mental institutions again. So, like, stuff like that and stuff, and Belmont Pines and Benadryl and stuff like that. That's a big business that I see. That ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong when you start looking outside and stuff. Ain't nothing wrong with these things. It don't be nothing wrong with these things sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But it's the times we go through. Y'all just got the peep game. It's a weird time. You know what I'm saying? But the mental illness is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? And if the mind ain't right, nothing's right. I don't care if you got $1 million in your lap. If the mind ain't right, nothing right. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like you ain't got $1 million. You just someone with access to $1 million who mind ain't right. So you spiritually broke and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't about to do nothing but hurt yourself and others. So at some point, you know what I'm saying? We got to chill out, especially how I seen some of these young streamers that somebody just gave them $1 million. Just gave them $1 million. They don't even know how to drive a stick shift. But man, that's the first car I'm going to get. You know what I'm saying? They end up getting ready to hurt themselves and others and stuff like that. So I'll get ready to record while I'm driving. Lord Jesus Christ. Lord Jesus Christ, you barely an adult. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, like America, sometimes they'll be leading by good examples to other countries when they can look at that. Like, how do you get that good car? That's a good car. That's a good car. You know what I'm saying? And you don't see the person or the car anymore. The car wrapped around some type of freeway pole. So it's like we got to lead by better examples at times over here on American soil, the WURLDIAH soil. But at the same time, you know, we don't get it together. But when it comes to business, entertainment, education, religion, and politics, this is how this energy going to play out here. So when we start to talk about us, and the moon going to transition into Capricorn. So for the most part, it's going to be extremely Saturnalia type concepts. Rest in peace, Sagittarius. But when I say that, that just means it's going to be a lot of things where we try to make it realistic, make it reality based. So you might look at your situations more harsh than they actually are. So it ain't that Saturn be bringing harsh things, but we look at it more harsh than it actually is. You see what I'm saying? Now, here's the thing. When you're 28, 29, you know what I'm saying, 30, and it may be a lot of things you have accumulated because the sun play out just like the moon, but the time frame is more extended, so the lead up is more scattered. So you may not be realizing what's going on until you like 6-9 months in, a year, 2 to 3 to 4 years in, and you like 31, 32, but you still be experiencing Saturn return, the sun in a certain position after it took a few cycles as expansion. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, based upon your sun pocket and the light ray it made, based upon where we was etching out the position where the sun would have been, how we're starting to come up with astronomy and astrology, right? It still makes sense because we're calculating based upon year. Now that 29-year cycle, it might have been things that you start to develop based upon each experience and your interactions that didn't even start to take off till you probably was 31, 32. But a lot of times it start off as a seed as you're seeing things harsher than what they actually are. So on your mind, bend in and become your adrenaline and your actions. You may do certain things that play out as an early stage of being unrelaxed, but you don't think you're unrelaxed. So you're trying to do things so you're on time or something, or go harder about something or whatever. So that slightly take you down a train of thought and a line of reasoning of an accumulation. And it just so happens to be, and some people experience it as soon as they turn 28, 29, but it just so happens to be you're experiencing that sun pocket and you start to do things you really don't have to do, but just how things plan out. And it just so happens you start to accumulate all that baggage. And sometimes it be enemies. It be, if you in business, your business end up being scattered. Friendships end up being in turmoil. All kind of stuff. So when you be like 28, 29, 30, 31, these be like the worst years of your life. Even if you a person that's Beavis and Butthead, that be the most pressure. You start thinking about like, damn, what the hell I do from 21? Damn, what the hell I do from what the hell? How did I just I thought 25 was young and I'm 30 already. I'm 29 already. It just flew past, or whatever the case may be. You start being extra hard on yourself. That's still the same aspect of you start to look at things more harsher than other things. And then a lot of people, especially in the hood, that we can see as people, aunties and uncles and parents and grandparents now, right, took that harsh reality and went down that train of thought and line of reasoning and didn't take the time more easier that led into other actions. And then they just got into actions like all things is lost. And then they got into those harsh drugs, or they got into those extreme messed up situations that they can't get back on they want to on, and things of that nature. So they end up becoming extreme Sean Kingston and his mother scammers or whatever, until they end up in jail, or in an all or nothing type of individual or mentality, due to the fact of them keep going down the path where the little crumbs are left that they can get back on to start to accumulate to get them back up. They just don't care about, or whatever the case. They look at that like it's all lost and gone, and they need other people to be like, look, you got this, look, I help you here, look. And then once a person needs that too much, that's when another, going back, I'm a master orator, like I said earlier, that's the family, friend, associate, or coworker, the time to cut off, you know what I'm saying? Time to disown. Because after that, any help, any asset you give to them, any assistance, it ain't assistance in their mind. It's a crutch. You know what I'm saying? It's going to become a part of them. It's going to become a part of their life. And anytime you try to separate yourself because you got your own life, you're going to get reactions from them that make it seem like you're stopping their life. You're going to make, or you're hating on them or whatever. Now you're building the most extreme negative relationship with a close one for no apparent reason that you started something you couldn't finish. You know what I'm saying? Because that person didn't know how to stop going down their own abyss. So they only know how to project. Hey, come with me. Fall off with me. Get broke with me. Lose all your opportunities with me. Lose your job with me. But don't forget to use that job to help me. Don't forget to use that opportunity to help me. Don't forget to, y'all say it's weird. Y'all let demons in the video, family, friends, associates go. It's weird though. I'll say y'all gotta be careful. It's like they just need you in the same light. Just make sure you bring the light you in with it. That ain't gonna help none of us. How that's gonna help you or me? You get ready to crash us both out. If I allow myself to take what God gave me to give it to you, and then God didn't give it to you, none of us get ready to have it. And we both might end up in jail. You know what I'm saying? Get your T-Steam game up. Get your T-Steam game up. You know what I'm saying? So y'all got to be careful. You know what I'm saying? Don't just think it's always in the world. Y'all always want to blame colonists and Europeans for stuff. Man, they got their own life. They got their own stuff they be going through and stuff like that. But a lot of times what y'all going through right next door. Y'all be going through right next door. You know what I'm saying? I know who African Man Bada and all these cats is and Flavor Flav. You know what I'm saying? And Jay-Z and everybody. Well, that's be real stuff. Like, y'all be quiet. Y'all be quiet sometimes. And get yourself together. And once you get yourself together, you good to go. You ain't got to worry about too much. You know what I'm saying? The only thing you got to worry about is a hater. You're too busy getting your 1-2 together. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing you got to worry about. That, and trust me, all them other problems other people be having, you'll start to realize, oh, I have them problems. It feels so much better. Then you'll start getting the right brain. You'll start thinking like, dang, yeah, I ain't doing nothing anyway if I ain't got no haters. I'd rather have that problem than anything else. You know what I'm saying? Real stuff. You could be having all kind of problems, bus station problems and stuff like that, needing rescue mission jackets and stuff, like all kind of stuff. It always could be worse. So don't sit around and no funk like what you going through is the end all and be all or whatever the case may be. Shut up. You know what I'm saying? Shut up and get your mind right. Now, as the moon being in Sagittarius right now, like I said, we're going through the peak, and it's in 8 degrees right now. But throughout this whole transition, it's going to make us react and respond to mutable fire. Being mutable, being able to adapt to our own or other people's ways of seeing and feeling about things, but we got to make it look like the best way we can. Fix air, being fixated on our own or other people's ways of thinking and communicating. So if you ain't got no thought you could stand on, also, you're going to be seen as a person that a person start to look down on. Even if how you've been doing it before have been making the relationships go smooth because it haven't been ruffling no feathers, right? You could be gullible to a negative cause. You could be nice, kind, and sweet to a negative cause and then start getting taken advantage of or being looked down upon in those areas that ain't got nothing to do with what you was doing it for out of your kindness. And in those other areas, you will start feeling like, wait a minute, do this person look down on me or something like, or this person think I ain't capable or something, or this person, you know what I'm saying? That you'll start looking at it like, oh, okay, so let me retract some of my reciprocation. Let me retract so this person don't see it the way I was giving it. So the way that they was acting that made me feel cool to give that energy was for alternative purposes. And you got to think people think like that if you're going to start thinking like that. So you got to start going down that train of thought, a line of reasoning like, oh, this person specifically low-key a manipulator. They specifically set up a certain characteristic because they know they get a certain energy out of me for specific reasons, or it wouldn't be that way in the first place. It'd be genuine. You know what I'm saying? So y'all allow disingenuine people to play games on y'all because everybody know how to say something to make you think, but it might not be that way. You know what I'm saying? Y'all let people, I'm telling y'all, don't, that be the main trick. You got to think, you think that way. You think somebody else, because a lot of times y'all sit around somebody and think they dumb in other areas. Whether y'all in just talking about whatever. Common sense, business, entertainment, education, religion, politics, sports. So when it comes to a person just protecting themselves because everybody still got their own bias, you don't know that's the height. Everybody is intelligent in their own way, even the dumbest people. Everybody know how to intelligently go for their biases. You might be from a distance because you ain't in a crackhead world or whatever the case may be. Somehow they broke in your world, but somehow in their world, a crackhead still intelligent to know how to get some crack rock every day. So for the most part, it's like some form of intelligence somewhere. So give the retarded family, friends, and associates and coworkers that grace. You could be getting rocked to sleep the moment you don't. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? You think your goddamn drunk uncle or auntie or whatever the case may be, don't think they sit around and think and plot and be like, oh, if I act this way, that's what make them go ahead and give me another $1.75 tomorrow too. You know what I'm saying? You think they ain't doing that? You know what I'm saying? Y'all, and then when you put somebody on the spot there and say something just cold enough to be like, oh, well, yeah. All right, you can get rocked to sleep. No, I'm saying wait till you get in that position. You gonna become intelligent. They think about when you, because you might be in a better position than them. So think about when you get ready to be late or something, or lose your job or something mess up with your relationship or something like that. Think about how intelligent you get. No, I said, so when things start to threaten your biases, your internal dichotomies and stuff like that, you get real intelligent. You better always give that grace to people. That's that first start. How y'all always get rocked to sleep by y'all family, friends, associates, and coworkers because y'all don't be understanding that. Just because y'all share a certain pocket in life we all share, that you can kind of compare and contrast, you way smarter than them, man, don't mean no one's smarter than no one else when it comes to people subjective personal biases. When it comes to a personal biases, nobody more intelligent than that person. You better always understand that. Well, that's how you give people grace, but the God grace. So even when a person retarded, you know, they got some intelligent way to be retarded. They ain't retarded just by vicariously, if that's a word for it. You know what I'm saying? That take time to think of something like that. That might be not your world. So y'all might share a world where you could be like, yeah, you gonna end up being in jail because you can't stop robbing banks and thieving and stuff like that. But man, forget Onyx and stuff like that. And shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? But they the real sticky fingers. That take real time sitting around thinking and stuff for you to have stories about how goddamn it started off taking goddamn grandma's doublemint stick, or y'all said oh goddamn Winterfresh out the damn purse before everybody go to church and stuff like that. And you know she always offer you the first ones and stuff, so all the good candy took first. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get the little Chico stick or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta get the plain Hershey or that. Like, you don't get the Hershey with the nut in it like that. She always got the Snicker stuff, the peppermints on top and stuff like that. The green peppermints, like everybody else in the family, all the other nieces and nephews and little cousins and stuff. Oh, they come thieving. Here come this one thief first, real quick. You know what I'm saying? It start there, then it start to duplicate later on in life. They get real good at it. Now, yeah, it's a good conversation around the kitchen table, goddamn it, around Thanksgiving, whatever family reunion, that everybody could be like, yeah, this is stupid. You're stupid, whether you at jail that year or you ain't in jail that year. You know what I'm saying? Or in jail. But for the most part, everybody can sit around like you stupid or whatever the case may be. But don't ever forget that was an intelligence. That was an intelligence. Except for y'all that had that many stories and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, remember when the goddamn Uncle Jimmy stole it and stuff like that? Yeah, Robbie Blind. You know what I'm that. Well, I'm saying Uncle Jose. You know that. Uncle Wetback. You know that. Uncle Homie Cheese. Homie Slice. Wet cornbread. You know that. Jabroni bread. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? All the time you gotta know people is intelligent, so don't think people don't think if they got away with the actions and start see you living out of order. That's why you always get taken advantage of and your kindness get taken for weakness. And now you got to start to scream on people and create weird animosity where it don't have to before people apologize or whatever the case may be. You got to give people that intelligence. You got to sit back and be like, all right, for them to get away with that, I got to live back in order. It's the spirit, the soul, creating the mind. Then the mind create the physical flesh, and then it's the actions or whatever the case may be. So let me go ahead and keep that in order. If they did these actions, first is the mind. That spirit was inside of it thinking real good. Whatever they talking about right now, lying about, I don't want to hear all that. So I don't want to hear all that. And then once y'all get that, that's when y'all become hard. And your family will respect you, those degenerate ones. And those friends and those coworkers, those employees, those colleagues, they'll respect y'all better. Because here's the thing, this is what y'all don't be realizing. Everybody got that intelligence, and you be thinking what you're developing, you just got it. No, you just got your specific way of it. You see what I'm saying? So you got to peep game. A lot of times y'all be in situations where y'all don't think other people is thinking certain things. And then you'll just be thinking it. And it take for something to happen to you for you to realize, oh, this person must have been thinking that or whatever. So you got to start to read people's actions. You know what I'm saying? Just read it at first. And once you start to peep game, then you won't have to allow them to rock you to sleep later on down the path. Because for the most part, they're already in a certain space to have a certain mind frame, to be saying things a certain way, to be doing things a certain way. And you got to separate from it ain't what we do, it's how we do it. Because if we're all sharing this physical world, we could all be appearing to be doing the same thing. And you could get rocked to sleep because you don't know how something is being done. For example, you could be doing the same thing, talking about sports with someone. But how someone talking about it, you should be able to decipher this person is a gambler, this person is a fanatic, this person just want to talk to somebody about it, and this person is just someone who just care about their team and their team suck. You know what I'm saying? you should be able to know what space they in. That's the how, not get lost into the what. Because you could be around a scammer that is like the gamble, and then the what confuse you. You know what I'm saying? And they might come to you in another how, because they got good at it. Told you, and you ain't looking at the intelligence. That's the intelligence they've been building up. This might be somebody get ready to rock you to sleep in the gambler space, but make it look like they the fanatic space. And then so much a used car salesman cold with the mouthpiece once they use their Mercury energy, right? You end up thinking you getting sold something, and this person was spiritually in the gamble, in the grifter scammer space. Now they done scammed you or whatever the case may be, and then now you in jail or something like that, and you the only one in jail. Not none of the mafia people that was mentioning who you was doing, bets with and stuff like that, and you ain't gonna be able to get your money straight to your Cash App or your PayPal or whatever like that on that goddamn phone fantasy sport app goddamn betting they got all y'all doing that don't seem nothing different that I just seen these sports players doing though, but somehow I think Colin is just capitalizing on it at the moment, so y'all all safe at the moment. As soon as you make more money than them, Rico and all that. I love all y'all from the bottom of my heart. Wipe off me, you know. But sure, you're not listening to the bottom of that Terry's Move. I am the Royal Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. We're waiting for Angel May Cry Part 3. God damn it. Rack the swah, hell, hold that yellow hoop. Massasoit, mama na toy. Hee hee, woo, Masasaki.